The journey of our young adventurers begins in earnest as we find them asleep within the first layer of the abyss. The young girl opens her eyes to discover that they're surrounded by a web of ropes created by Reggie's extended arms. And when she tugs at it, the robot boy instantly wakes, shouting that an intruder has been detected. The pair eventually continue with their almost pleasurable excursion through the first layer, as we watch them go past waterfalls and even catch fish for the meals that Rico makes. While enjoying the food, the young girl whips out her star compass, and as she playfully shakes it, the relic slips out of her hand and flies off into the air. Reg launches his extendable arm at it, but is unable to grab the device as it lands into the water and is swept down the waterfall. The robot boy comforts the dejected little girl, and before too long they move on to the next topic of discussion. Down the abyss they go, until eventually arriving at a cliff face, where Rico notices a suspicious-looking thread before her feet. Her extensive knowledge of the abyss kicks in as the young girl quickly realizes that it belongs to a hostile creature called the Silk Fang. And as the spider-like fiend bounds towards the pair, Reg launches his arm at it, using it as an anchor to lower themselves further down until the creature releases his arm. They eventually arrive at the more dangerous second level, and as the pair prepare themselves, Reg notices a figure that's been following them. Believing it to be dangerous scavengers, the pair make a run for it, but the figure is just too fast and easily catches up to them. As they brace themselves for the confrontation, the figure lands before them, revealing itself to be the Black Whistle and Rico's Uncle Hoblong. The explorer enthusiastically grabs hold of Reg, eagerly inspecting every nook and cranny of the boy, even his jumblies, as he calls it. Turns out that the robot boy is in fact what all would regard as a truly rare treasure of the abyss. We get a quick flashback, showing us Nat and Kiui kneeling before Hoblong after their friend's departure. The two beg the Black Whistle for his assistance in helping their friends get past the second layer. And enticed by the idea of seeing such a valuable relic, the hardened adventurer agrees to their request. Turns out that even Jiru was wise to their plan. And even though, as her big brother, he'd have loved to stop her or see her off, he thought it best to let her be herself and spread her wings. As the pair thank Hoblong, he warns them to be careful of what they may find in the depths, especially the next base camp below, where they'll encounter the woman who rescued her mother once before. And with that, he gives the two a massive hug, somewhat heartbroken as he watches his niece, who only a few short years ago could fit into the palm of his hand, walk off into the distance on her own adventure. We continue with Rico and Reg approaching the depths of the second layer, signaling their successful endeavor to both evade any excursions sent after them, as well as any sinister cave raiders. As the pair make their way through this jungle-like biome, entranced by the flora all around them, they suddenly hear the cries of someone pleading for rescue. They eventually find themselves before a clearing where they see an explorer seemingly getting consumed by a creature called a corpse weeper. But upon further investigation, they realize that the explorer has already lost his life, and the creature is mimicking his voice in order to attract unwitting rescuers into a trap. A second corpse weeper appears out of nowhere and snatches Rico, flying off into the distance. Reg releases his arm, but just as it's about to grab hold of Rico, he's intercepted by yet another one of these creatures. Rico succumbs to the effects of the curse as she's flown towards the nest of these creatures to be used as food for their chicks. And as Reg is surrounded by more of these predators, his powerful offensive capabilities are activated. The robot boy unleashes a searing, fiery blast towards the creatures, decimating everything in its path. He swiftly launches an arm towards the falling girl, grabbing her just in time and pulling himself towards her as they safely land further below and beyond the reach of their attackers. Rico later wakes to find Reg looking down at her. And though the little girl is grateful and excited that they survived that encounter, Reg is sheepish as he desperately tries to explain that he had to take off her clothes and wash them for her. But the young girl only sees Reg as a robot, and while she excitedly speaks with him, Reg falls into unconsciousness as a result of the amount of energy he expended. Much later, the robot boy wakes to the ever-enthusiastic cheer of his friend. And filled with obvious relief, the pair enjoy a well-deserved meal. Onwards they go, traversing dangerous cliffs and massive gaps till they find themselves before a host of treasures called sun spheres that Riko finds interesting. Unfortunately, due to their weight constraints, they're unable to take them all, and so Riko settles for just one. They later find themselves within the inverted forest with its upside-down trees. And after Reg places his mechanical helmet on his head, they're confronted by strange monkeys that attack them for invading their territory. The two friends beat a hasty retreat, barely managing to evade the chasing creatures, some of whom fall to their demise below. As the two continue onwards, we see a little girl within a treehouse of sorts, observing them through a telescope. And when the pair find themselves before the first camp building, Reg launches his arms towards one of the verandas. But the robot boy looks visibly disturbed as we move to the veranda where we find the legendary white whistle named Ozen the Immovable, holding on to his hands. Ominously exceptional in height, power, and beauty, the white whistle holds onto the hands of the robot boy as she curiously states, "So, she's still alive." Ozen releases Reg, and his arms retract as a lift descends towards them. We later find the pair sitting before the white whistle as she questions why they're here. Riko hastily pulls out the note from Liza, declaring that she's on a mission to find her mother. Oddly unresponsive to this, Ozen rises to her feet as she departs the room, and we see her assistant giving the two visitors blue whistles. As no red whistle is allowed at this level, it's a required formality for these two, but they'll have to return the items in exchange for Liza's white whistle upon their departure. Maroke leads them through the cozy and somewhat spellbinding house, eventually arriving at their designated rooms, where Riko quickly rushes towards the bathroom for a quick wash as the remaining two get acquainted. After getting cleaned up, the three kids share a hearty meal, and we learn that a while ago, after an unsuccessful and deathly excursion, Maroke was rescued by Ozen, who took her in. And as the three kids converse, we find Ozen staring out into the distance as she wistfully remembers days gone by and the memory of Riko's mother. Back with the kids, Maroke, excited about finally having visitors her age, hopes that the pair will be able to stay for a while. But even though Riko is enthusiastic about the idea, she quickly remembers the reason she's here. And so she dolefully informs her new friend that she must continue on her quest to find her mother as quickly as possible. Night falls upon the camp, and as the children sleep, Riko wakes up as she needs to use the toilet. As she lethargically walks through the home, she notices the shadow of a woman, and her curiosity gets the better of her. She eventually finds herself before a dark room where a frightening human cadaver-like creature barges its way towards her. The little girl makes a run for it, ultimately arriving back in her room where she slips under the covers of Reggie's bed. The following morning, the other two kids try to comfort Riko about wetting the bed, and as they speak with one another, Ozen appears before them, asking Riko to accompany her if she's brave enough to discover the truth. As they make their way through the corridors of the building, the white whistle almost mocks the little girl, stating that her mother is most assuredly dead and that the note she possesses is not in Liza's handwriting. But Riko refuses to be dissuaded. Ozen wistfully remembers the past, when she came across a solitary grave amidst a field of flowers. And as the four eventually arrive at Ozen's private quarters, the kids look on in awe. Among the books, clothes, and curious artifacts, we see an inauspicious white cube at the back of the room.